Welcome to the Across the Bar podcast, where we talk about why today's headlines are important for you at work. My name is Peter Rahbar. I'm your first call on legal issues.
And I'm Laura Brounstein, and I should be your first call on comms, content, and anything to do with the cottage. If you know, you know. Do you know, Peter? Have you gone to the cottage?
No, I haven't.
Have your wife and daughter watched Heated Rivalry yet?
Well, my daughter has. My wife has not. And I'd like to say that one of my clients, and I'm going to give him a shout out because he deserves it, and he's not taking any victory laps on it, but he should. One of my clients, Sean, and good friends, Sean Cohen, who's at Bell Media and Crave, is one of the forces responsible for this show, greenlighting the show, funding it. It's like the biggest hit in the world. It's like
In the
unbelievable.
world. Literally.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the few people who hasn't seen it yet.
A few straight men that hasn't seen it. But
Yeah.
I think, most girlies and boys have watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them on the Golden Globes. That was
Yeah.
a little shtick.
What did you think of the
funny.
Golden Globes? Did you enjoy?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought there was some good stuff. Obviously, the CBS jokes were
We're funny.
killer.
I really
So
enjoyed, I love a reference to a teen magazine. So I loved when Nikki Glaser made the Leo joke. And then was like, the last in-depth interview you did was in Tiger Beat in 91.
Yeah.
I thought that was really fun.
Except she did it twice. I would have just done it once. That would have been fine. I also enjoyed, and it sort of goes to a topic we're going to talk later today. Talk about later in the show. All the Warner Brothers people who won, only one of them thanked David Zaslav, and it looked like he was getting irritated. They were all thanking this other guy who was sitting next to him.
I think it was literally the
see
person sitting next to him that eventually thanked him.
that was too good. That
I
was
also
really,
enjoyed
really
when they
funny.
would flash once in a while to David Ellison's face, and I did not see that
Yeah.
man smile in the audience the entire time.
Well, there's a lot of cosmetic surgery in the room, so it might be tough to crack impromptu smiles.
He was not amused. He must have been like, why am I buying into this industry? What are these
Right.
folks doing?
Right. Well, it was fun, and luckily we have we have a ton to talk about today.
We do. The news.
Give us
is
the
been
rundown.
What?
Give us the rundown.
Rundown is we are going to talk about Trump's beautiful, amazing, best visit ever to the Ford plant and his perfect, amazing interaction with a factory worker there. We are going to talk about the Washington Post's latest revise. This one wasn't their fault. And they're stepping up. OpenAI is doing some, not surprisingly, shady things. How to deal with your boss, and should Jerome Powell be a good example of this? And then we may or may not get to unions and self-driving cars.
Yeah.
So first thing, Ford, I guess, invited Trump to a plant to. What was the reason for the visit?
I mean, I don't know. He probably just wanted to come and tell them. I mean, first of all, Ford is one of the biggest proponents of electric vehicles, and his shift on electric vehicles has cost them, I think, close to $20 billion, or because they were all in on electric vehicles, and now
I have a Ford.
Seem like all out. But as he was touring the factory, one of the workers, TJ Sabula, screamed pedophile protector at the president twice, apparently, and the president mouthed "fuck you" to him and also gave him the finger. And I'd say they're probably both wrong in the situation. Certainly, you would expect the president to be a little more presidential.
I'm not mad at the worker, obviously, but yes, your workplace has every reason to get mad at you if you scream at a leader, any leader, anyone, much less the president of the country, during an official work event. But also, he's a union guy. He knew what the repercussion would be, that he would just get a little suspended. And it was a beautiful moment for America.
Little union joke right there. Yeah, and that is a key element of the story. He was suspended. Mr. Subula was suspended without pay immediately after the incident. He is a member of a union, so that will go through a grievance process. I think if he was in an environment without a union, he'd probably be fired right away.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. And,
Go
you know, look, he's been interviewed. He didn't say it because he thought he had union protection. He thought he did it because it was the right thing. And, you know, credit to him. But it is a good reminder. We've talked about this topic many times on the podcast. There is no freedom of press and the freedom of speech in the workplace.
No.
You can be disciplined for saying things, and certainly if you have a dignitary, whether it's the president or the company CEO or anybody visiting, and you're going to yell something at them, then you're probably going to get fired or suspended. You know, let's see what happens with him. People have set up a GoFundMe for him. I think I checked right before recording. It's up to over $800,000 to support this worker and his family.
So doing that probably changed his financial life for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how much stock we could...
$800,000 right now.
I mean, I don't know how much stock we could put into these GoFundMes. I mean, there was one set up for the ICE agent who killed the woman in Minnesota last week, and it's over $1 million.
Yeah, Bill Ackman started that, right?
Was that really Bill Ackman, or was that someone who was pretending to be
No, I think Bill
Ackman?
Ackman started two. One for the ICE agent and one for Renee Good's family once he got called out for starting one for the ICE agent.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was like an even exchange there.
Probably not.
And Bill Ackman, a twice zero on this podcast. Let's not forget. Yeah. He's holding the record for zeros. Mm-hmm. But unfortunate incident, notable incident. I mean, so many corporate people are being criticized for not speaking against the president. Here, this worker risked his career to do it.
Yeah.
But we are actually we've seen two CEOs criticize the president this week, two prominent ones, and they're facing a lot of backlash too. The ExxonMobil CEO who said
I love that.
Venezuela was uninvestable.
I love all those tech guys were like currying favor and kissing the boot because
I like to say licking. I think it's way beyond kissing at this point.
Oh, it's licking.
It's licking.
The boot? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
or another part.
And the oil guys are just like, fuck off. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the truth is really not a convenient thing in that setting.
No thanks on Venezuela. I'll pass. Is basically what they're saying.
Right.
Like, bless your heart for taking over Venezuela. Not for me.
Yeah, so that was one, and our good friend of the podcast, Jamie Dimon, also spoke out about the attempts to intervene with Jerome Powell in the Fed, and he's getting backlash now too.
So my friend,
we'll see what happens.
Sammy Sage, who's one of the founders of Betches and is absolutely brilliant. Do you follow her?
I'm aware of Betches, yes.
Are you aware of Sam? You should follow Sammy directly because she's brilliant. And she had a whole thing about this is part of a larger plot, this Greenland thing, to kind of upend NATO, obviously, and kind of create less of a nation-state world order so that corporation states become more and more important. And it's like a whole long, complicated thing, but it's very interesting that a lot of this seizing of Greenland, of talking about taking Greenland and Venezuela, it's really just trying to disrupt the nation-state network that's been in place since World War II. I mean, NATO created a system of checks and balances, basically, to keep peace. And now we are challenging it. Italy and Germany have sent troops to Greenland, from what I think I've read.
Yeah, and England and France. Interesting you bring that up. I just read an article, scholarly research article about how it's not just upending nation states for corporates, but it's for elites, aristocrats. I mean, it's a longer topic. Probably not for this podcast, but...
Well, no, but I mean...
we get the drift.
People like Elon Musk they look at a world...
They want everything.
The companies are going to run things, which...
Right. That would be great for them.
I think it is wonderful that the people in Iran have internet access, obviously, but via Starlink. Right now, some of them are having access.
Oh, well, very few. Very few.
But it's very frightening the way he is controlling the means of broadcast,
Space exploration.
egress from the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Way too much power in an individual who no one elected to anything.
And who basically had to have like five countries threaten to kick them out before he was like, okay, we won't do naked deepfakes of kids anymore.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
So some decisions should be easy, and that's
Right?
certainly one of them.
I mean, we covered revenge porn at Cosmo for the first time in like 2014, and we played a role in getting some of the legislation passed against it. But that was like existing pictures. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
This is a whole different story.
Oh, awful. Awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Speaking of awful, this really hit close to home. A reporter for the Washington Post had her home invaded by federal officers and all of her devices seized because of two articles she wrote that were critical of the administration. This is not how we America. This is terrible. What would it, if this had happened when you to me at Hearst? What would you have done?
Well, look, I don't think people really understand the significance of this story. I don't think it's gotten a lot of attention, but not enough
Will Lewis,
attention.
good statement, by the way. Will Lewis.
For the government to get a search warrant and seize devices and information from reporters, you have to meet a pretty high standard under individual state laws, under federal guidelines, and this administration came in and tried to water down those guidelines. But basically, I mean, traditionally, the standard that would have to be met is some very high level of, imminent harm based on the information. They would have to show
National
that
security.
someone's literally like about to die if we don't get this information, and the government would have to prove that like they've exhausted every other source to get it before going to a
steps before you get to the invading. Like you ask
Right.
them to turn over the information.
Right. And here, basically, from what I've seen, I haven't read the
They're
court documents.
accusing her of using classified information, saying they're not going after her, they're after someone who leaked to her. But it is
Right.
not illegal for reporters to report on classified leaked information.
Or receive it,
No.
by the way.
In any way.
And their justification was this federal worker was sending her, the reporter, classified information at the time they arrested the federal worker, and that was the justification. And that's really pretty weak.
Kind of strange.
This should be shocking to everyone. What it's intended to do, and this was about government layoffs, by the way. What it's intended to do is clear. It's to send a chilling message to reporters that this could happen to you, that we are not afraid for the FBI to use its power in this way. We're going to find a judge who's going to issue a warrant, and we're going to intimidate reporters and seize their devices. I mean, it's definitely a crossing of a line. Everyone should be outraged. There's seemingly no justification for it. But
it's
we
really
both
in line. I mean, it is the next natural step for the Trump administration. This is
after
honestly-
killing citizens, then also chilling the press.
Also threatening a lawsuit against anybody basically that writes a story they don't like, getting Jimmy Kimmel kicked off the air.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about the water boiling slowly.
Yeah,
the water has been getting hotter and hotter, and people have been like,
Well, look, we saw an immediate backlash. A number of media companies issued statements. There are a number of organizations to protect journalists, to protect freedom of press. They all issued statements. They came out immediately. And there will be battles over this. And, we both worked at a company that believed in the First Amendment and fought aggressively. I work for someone who fought probably more aggressively than anyone in the country to protect freedom of speech and journalists. So
who was that fought more than anyone in the country?
Eve Burton and our
Burton, we love you.
and our whole
We should
team of
get
journalists.
Eve to come on the show. I love you.
We could do that. We could do that. So look, this is something people should be upset about, and this also goes, to something we talked about early on in this administration. Like, companies need to be prepared for the rules to just be thrown out the window, and these crisis type situations, you need to be prepared for the government to take steps they haven't taken before. And certainly the thing we're seeing now is they are coming into workplaces, whether it's this, whether it's ICE. I mean, you need to be ready for it. So
And they're not just coming into workplaces, they're coming into homes.
right. And
Like,
so
and you can't not think, oh my God, what would they find if they took all my devices? I need to take off some of the bad things I've said about people. Maybe from my
and if you have remote workers, I mean, I'm sure, and all these news organizations do. There's probably a week of discussions about where are your devices, where is the information, what are your passwords, or is the information encrypted, all that stuff. So
yeah. It matters, people. Even if you like the current administration and don't like them being beat up on in your mind, you might not like
well,
the next one.
I thought these people were free speech people. No, didn't they say free speech? They're warriors of free speech.
Well done. Well done. Okay. OpenAI's hubris knows no bounds. They have recently asked contractors to upload former successful work project. Everybody knows that work project is owned by the company that assigns the work, right, Peter?
Yeah, work product. And if you're a consultant being hired by OpenAI to upload all your stuff into their models, shame on you. Shame on you. B,
Yeah.
You need to understand what your obligations are. Now, OpenAI says, look, we're telling people to remove all confidential proprietary information. Okay, that's one level of analysis. But if you're the consultant, you likely had an agreement with whatever company you did the work for. And as you said, the work product is theirs. It's not yours. So if it ends up and someone finds it on this model, and all this stuff could be traced. So don't think like it can't be traced.
It all has
could all be
signatures.
traced. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, actually. Tell me if this is wrong. If you redact, even if you redact the crucial stuff, you are still liable for handing over your work product.
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, you
Like,
potentially
even if
could
you
be.
take out the names, they could be like,
You could
we are the
you
only
could potentially
ones that have a 4B on this contract, and now other people know about the 4B.
Yeah. You could potentially be violating agreements, and you should be
Don't-
mindful of
don't
that. And
do
if you're a company, hopefully you've already addressed this issue, but you need to make sure your policies regarding AI, and I was talking with someone about this week, specifically address the issue of not using other people's confidential proprietary information when using different AI platforms, and also saying you can't take our work and put it in any AI anywhere else without our consent. Period.
Yeah. Every company right now should talk to their chief legal and chief comms and update all internal comms around the use of AI.
Well, we've said it so many times. Don't
I
you
know,
think
but
they've
honestly, you
been
should have a
doing
monthly
it?
meeting because it's changing that quickly. Like quarterly, at least. If you have a public company, I would have a quarterly review of AI policies. And
Trust me, it's a nightmare for every company. I mean, I've heard so many stories from my lawyer friends who have been dealing with this issue for their companies. It's a nightmare, and it's changing every day. And none of OpenAI and Claude, Anthropic, Google, none of them are interested in helping out the companies. So good luck in
I
catching
used
up.
OpenAI for an issue with an employee recently. How much snacks Annabelle should get, and if she should eat more in the winter.
Okay. Approved use.
And it said maybe she didn't need quite as many snacks as she thought she did, and she had a real issue with OpenAI being used to
she's not a fan.
curtail some of her privileges.
Yeah. That's really
And
funny.
I
I mean,
mean-
yeah, and we'll talk about. I mean, there's some interesting issues that have popped up in the legal world this week that I think will have application in the broader business world. We'll talk about that next week potentially. But the teaser. Look at that.
All right, one of my very favorite stories is like a two-parter. I never thought I would have such a crush on an Exxon CEO for saying things, and the response of the oil executives to Trump's takeover of Venezuela and encouragement for them to invest um, was, I thought, actually hilarious. It's so nice to see people who will tell him the truth. And what was the answer when he told the Exxon CEO that they needed to put money in?
Said it was uninvestable.
Uninvestable.
Uninvestable because these companies had, I think, in two different time periods invested in Venezuela and sort of lost all their money because there's not laws there that you could rely on when you're doing business. I mean, it's one of the things we take for granted in the United States is the rule of law and like how that helps
Your
you buy
business isn't
property
gonna
and sell
be-
property and conduct business and enforce contracts. I mean, a lot of countries do not have those mechanisms of law, and Venezuela is certainly one of them. The second example, and we'll put this all together for the listeners here, is the attack on Jerome Powell and the video that came out, I think Sunday night or Saturday, over the weekend, resisting.
I think I was watching it while I was watching the Golden Globes.
Yeah, it came out, I think, at that time, and it was addressing the DOJ subpoenas and threats of criminal action against Jerome Powell with regard to the Federal Reserve renovations in D.C. So we're not really talking about the substance here. What we're really using these to talk about is like sometimes you're going to have disputes with your boss, and how do you handle them?
So should the average worker film a video with their side of the story and launch it on social media?
Definitely not. I mean, unless they want to get fired, that is not an advisable strategy.
It's only if the Constitution protects you from being fired that
Right.
you should do that.
Right, which it doesn't. So posting a video on TikTok or elsewhere, or blasting your boss in an email or screaming at them in public. I mean, those are not, or even,
As we talked about before, I one time had to let someone go, and I had to let a couple people from a team go. It was just layoff. It wasn't a firing. The boss, the head of that team, didn't accept it very well that people had to be let go, and went to Facebook and just ranted.
Oh, God. That's
This
dumb.
was about 12 years ago, so it was a minute ago, but still, it didn't go well for her.
Right. And so like, look, there's no one textbook way to handle disputes with your boss. It's going to depend on the type of boss you have, the type of company you work in, the type of setting, what position you are in relative to your boss. But the one rule I can say for sure is like, before you say anything, think about
Talk
it.
to your lawyer. Talk to your lawyer. And a comms person, but probably even more lawyer in this case.
Well, I mean, talk to someone who's maybe detached from the situation and could give you a reality check, because challenging your boss, no matter what the setting, whether it's something very public or obviously for most people something very private, it's a serious thing. I mean, if you don't handle it well, it's not something you're going to come back from in your career. In fact, a lot of people I talk to, who are exiting companies, the origin ends up being some place in time where they challenged their boss and it didn't go well for them, or maybe they didn't do it in the best way. So I would say, the universal rule is like, think about it and what's appropriate and whether it's worth it. That's the other thing.
Think about what's at stake. And listen, if you decide, if you're like, you know what, the future of American democracy and economy is at stake here, so I'm going to speak up.
Right.
Do it, because you've decided that risk is worth it. And, I think Jerome Powell knew what he was doing and was probably, I think he was brave and right to do it because he decided American economy, me getting in trouble.
Well, and that's a really good example and way to tie it together is obviously there was a level of discussions happening behind the scenes for a long time. And he now has decided it is worth whatever repercussions I'm going to face to bring this to the surface for everyone to hear. Because if it goes forward, like let's say I'm arrested, it's too late. Okay, so it's worth it to bring it up now. So tying back to the workplace, there's certainly plenty of times in my career where I wish I asked myself that question before talking up, but I didn't. It didn't result in me being fired, but I definitely regret it.
There's a couple times where I spoke up, and I probably shouldn't have, but I look back and I'm glad I did. Like, you do have to leave someplace with your head held.
Yeah, it depends what the issue is, and so that's why I say, like, take a pause, talk to someone who's detached from the situation, make sure, like, obviously you're in the moment, you're obviously upset about something, or you're feeling slighted or whatever it is. Talk to someone who's like a little more level-headed in the moment, not as emotional, and has good judgment, who could give you some advice. I mean, clients have sent me emails that they plan to send to their bosses, and I'm like, there is no way you are sending that email. Like,
Let me give
period.
everyone a little tip. I have had some satisfaction in life by writing the email I want to send and just sending it to Peter, and then he tells me not to send it, and it's almost as satisfying as sending it to the person it was meant for. I think we've done that game like 3 or 4 times, and you've been like, Laura, please refer back to your contract. You absolutely cannot do this.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I say a lot to people.
Yeah.
And I'll
satisfying to send it to you.
I usually say something nice too. Like, I can understand why you're upset, but let me tell you, you're just going to make the situation a lot worse if you send this email.
So to paraphrase the brave Alyssa Slotnick and Mark Kelly and the rest of the legislators who are being persecuted right now for that video reminding the military that they can and should say no to bad orders that are illegal, you also have to live with yourself. And so if you are working someplace where you're asked to do something that you were like, no, you might have hard decisions to make.
Look, I mean, if you're being asked to do something unlawful or, against policy or lie, we've talked about that before. I mean, those are clear things. And there are ways to deal with those too, by the way, that don't involve public blasting of the person you're asking. So, all right. So here we are, heroes and zeros.
Heroes and zeros, so many this week. All right, you start.
We got to go zeros first? Is that
zeros first? Got to end on a note.
A lot of zeros this week, but I'm going to pick, based on what we discussed before, Mr. Jeff Bezos. I think this is now his second anointment as a zero on this podcast for his lack of any statement supporting his reporters in his newsroom after the raid this week. That's pretty damn lame, Mr. Bezos.
Great point.
Even the publisher, New York Times, other publishers around the country have chimed in. He was probably still in St. Bart's or something. I don't know. Maybe he's too busy or doing something else. But it's really shocking that he wouldn't speak out.
You're right about that. That's a really good one.
Another example of corporate cowardice.
I am going to have to say the zeros and the number of people who are questioning the brave, unbelievably brave people protesting in Iran right now. The people that are, all for freedom and liberation, but not supporting this brave fight to get out from under this horrific authoritarian regime. And I know this is an issue close to you, but nobody is speaking up. There is not an outcry. I go on News Nation sometimes, and Leland Vittert had a great opening segment on Monday. He said, all right, now we're going to show footage from all of the brave American college students. Millions of them protested this weekend to support Iran. The footage. And then he was like, oh, there's no footage because no one protested.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, there's probably a number of different explanations, including
women are being killed because they show their hair. What?
Well, look, I mean, students have been basically told by this administration not to protest anything, and that's one element of it. It's like, do not protest, we'll come after your school. And they've done that, and schools have faced billions of dollars in damages because of that chilling of free speech and protest. And look, I think that's a very valid point you're making. It's also another very complex issue, and people historically have not supported efforts in Iran to gain freedom, so that's it's not a new thing. And I think it detracts also from the main issue, which is people are literally being slaughtered by their own government in Iran.
By the thousands.
The U.S. and other countries have promised support that they haven't delivered on, and people have died, and they will continue to die because
hoping that there is support happening that we're just not seeing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long battle. And we talked about this last week. It's not going to be something like Venezuela that ends in a day because one person could be killed or kidnapped. It's going to be a long battle. It's much more complicated than that. But yes, the situation does merit and needs global support. And you are right for calling people out on not, doing that.
All right, heroes.
Heroes. So mine is also...
Heroes right now.
Yeah, mine is also Iran related, so I don't need to give any context. It certainly should be supported. But there's a great movie that's, Iran has an amazing, despite the regime, an amazing culture and people and history and food. And so there's a great movie that's in the Oscar races right now. Won the Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or. It's called It Was Just an Accident. It's by a filmmaker, Jafar Panahi, who's been jailed and, literally sneaks into Iran to make his movies. And it does give a wonderful sort of window into the daily frustrations and also threats that citizens in the country face, not just from the government, but from their employers, and others, and the struggle that they face with it. And it's a beautiful movie.
Okay, what's it called? Say it one more time, the name?
It Was Just an Accident.
Okay.
And if you're in New York, you want to have a great Persian meal, there's some... What's
your favorite Persian restaurant?
I went to Aval in Bushwick this week, which is, I think, the best one, but Sofra is also
great.
great.
In Manhattan, where I'm actually going to go.
Yeah, so, okay. In Manhattan, there is a restaurant called Rahbar, which has several locations. The main one's on 33rd Street. There's also Purse Police on the Upper East Side. So, go have
Did you ever
some
see
food.
that movie, the animated movie, Purse Police?
Yeah.
So
And there's also, there's Baron Jack also in Brooklyn. So there's a lot of good choices.
All right, maybe we should put that in our posting this week.
Yeah, great.
Some recommendations.
Yeah. So who's your hero this week?
You know what? I like fun, silly things to lighten dark times, and I really thought the whole 2016 trend on Instagram this week.
Oh, yeah. You did that.
posted
I saw it.
The hell out of that, and it was really fun. It was fun to have a reason to go back and look at pictures from 10 years ago. I sent a bunch of friends cute pictures that I came across, and it was like a good excuse to be like, "Oh my God, look how cute we were 10 years ago."
Yeah.
It was such a different time, and it was when I was like doing the pictures. There was so much fun stuff, but it was also like the year. It was like blah, 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 election day, blah, 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 blah. Like that was like a fulcrum of the world, sort of, election day 2016.
Yeah.
So it was, but I'm still going to say hero. I really thought it was really fun, and getting involved in silly memes like that is when the internet is fun.
Agreed. I was thinking about what I would say in mine if I did it.
Where were you in
It was a year.
2016?
Well, 2016 was the year where like I really was plotting and planning the next phase of my life. I was still at my corporate job, but also knew that I wanted to leave and sort of figuring out this next phase. So like it was a very meaningful year to me. So I was like thinking of like how to reflect that. But also, yeah, I mean, you mentioned,
from a content person.
yeah, maybe. But also you mentioned the election and how it was also the year that just sort of set us into this like spiral of doom that we've been in for 10 years. Jesus. Wow. So on that note, yeah, well, we'll see what I end up posting. Yeah.
Does everybody have a long weekend? Or
Yeah, they better.
Is that just the East Coast? Is it a federal holiday, MLK Day?
I think for the moment, who knows if it'll get eliminated. But anyway, thank you to everyone for listening and watching across the bar.
Rahbar.
Please like, share with your friends and colleagues, and send us your questions and topics. We'd be happy to address them.
And watch Heated Rivalry this weekend. Go to the cottage.
Okay. We'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye.